A quick tour of YouTube will show that AKG's Perception series is popular and compared to many other brands and models. Not long after their introduction, they became the best-selling microphone series in the US. These mics are generally a good performer for the price, and because they've been around for a while, many are available on the used market at very good prices. If you're interested in picking up one of these, let me help illustrate how these models relate to one another. Welcome to the cabin. If you're new here, I'm glad you found me. If you're an old friend, welcome back, and thanks for stopping by. The Perception series and P series consists of 15 different models that I'm aware of. I've made a video about the Perception 150, 170, P170, and P17, so I'll skip those and include a link in the description to that vid. I'm also not going to include the P820 and its predecessor, the Perception 820, because they have tube electronics, and at the time of this recording, the $775 price tag probably places them outside the price range of most folks who came here looking to buy other mics in this series. I've been using these mics for years, beginning with the Perception 100. I have used most, but not every version of every model. To prepare for this video, I reviewed the details of all models and placed their specs into a table. The data revealed commonalities and aided in categorization as relations became quite clear, at least to me. Let's begin with what I call the Perception 100 category, the mic everyone seems to love. Mike Delgadio, the Booth Junkie's first microphone. Mike actually made a video comparing it to the Neumann TLM 103. I'll link that too. The Perception 100 is the base model with no pad or filter, externally biased large diaphragm condenser, max SPL 135 decibels, cardioid polar pattern. Released at the same time as the 100, the Perception 200 has a minus 10 dB pad and increases the max SPL to 145 decibels, and there is a second order or 12 dB per octave pad beginning at 300 Hz. All other specifications are the same as the Perception 100. The Perception 220 has a minus 20 dB pad that increases the max SPL to 155 decibels, and the filter present on the Perception 200 remains here unchanged. All other specifications are the same as the Perception 200, except it's blue and the published diameter of the diaphragm is slightly larger, although mine look identical, but I didn't pull them apart and put the calipers on them. The difference of 20, as in the 150 to the 170 on the pencil condensers, or the 200 to the 220, here with the large diaphragm condensers, seems to consistently specify that the pad has increased from minus 10 dB to minus 20 dB. The difference between the P220 and the Perception 220 is that the P220 is black, slightly more sensitive, and has a slightly better self-noise measurement. These improvements seem to be consistent across all the P-Series versions of these microphones. So, if you look at these four models as a group, the silver Perception 100 is the base model. The silver Perception 200 adds a pad and filter. The blue Perception 220 increases the pad, and the black P220 offers slightly improved specifications. All are cardioid, and all appear to share the same capsule. Let's jump to the Perception 400. The Perception 400 is the Perception 200, but it has a double-sided capsule. It has a minus 10 dB pad, which provides a max SPL of 145 dB. The capsule design allows for cardioid, omnidirectional, and figure-8 polar patterns. If you were paying attention earlier class, you can tell me the difference between the Perception 400 and the 420, which is an increase in pad from minus 10 dB to minus 20 dB, increasing the max SPL of this microphone to 155 decibels. It's also blue, and the capsule may be slightly larger. Now the P420. Virtually the same microphone as the Perception 420, but black, slightly more sensitive, with better self-noise performance. Now, Before we discuss the other microphones in this series, and I try to explain why I chose to save them for last, it may be easier if I remind you that the 100, 200, 220, 400, and 420 are all large diaphragm condensers with similar circuitry, which gives them a comparable sound profile, but with differing features. A microphone reviewer I generally like and trust recently referred to the Perception 100 as the predecessor to the Perception 120. Although true, the 100 came out before the 120, the 120 is not an improvement or evolutionary advance to the 100. So that's why I saved these two 120 microphones for the end. The Perception 120 and the P120 have a capsule size that places them in a category of their own. They're both medium diaphragm condensers, and capsule differences that, according to some, separate them from each other. The Perception 120 and the P120 are both medium diaphragm condensers, cardioid polar pattern, both with minus 20 dB pads. The Perception 120 has an electric condenser capsule and a 12 dB per octave filter at 300 Hz, while the P120 has an externally biased capsule and a 6 dB per octave filter at 300 Hz. And again, the P120 has slightly better noise performance and higher output, and like all the other P-series mics, it's black. The Perception 120 and the P120 microphones have more in common with the Audio-Technica 2020, as this is also a medium diaphragm condenser. Kane Major compares them. I'll link that below as well. Now, there's nothing wrong with medium diaphragm condensers, and there's nothing wrong with good quality electric condenser microphones. AKG did more than most to improve the quality, consistency, and longevity of the electric condenser capsule. An idea for a future video, I suppose. So, another way to look at this series is in a timetable. The 100, 200, and 400 were released at the same time. The 100 has no switches. The 200 has 2 switches. And the 400 has a double-sided capsule and 3 polar patterns. The 220 and 420 increased the pad to minus 20 decibels. The Perception 100 was dropped and the P120 was introduced as a medium diaphragm condenser. And the P series that we're talking about today includes the P120, the P220, and the P420. All these have increased sensitivity and better noise performance than the mics they replaced. I hope this helps. Questions and comments are welcome. Or if I got something wrong or if I left something out, please let me know in the comments or email me from the contact page of redcabinacoustic.com. Thanks for stopping by. If you like what I do here and want to share, you know what to do. Peace and be safe.